Great, thanks, Lucy. Okay. So the first thing we're going to be working with is how to safely warm up your hands and your wrists for any weight bearing on them. Okay, so if you're looking to have a long practice and you really want to improve your handstand and you want to have a long life with your handstand, you want to always be taking the time to look after your hands and your wrists. Okay, so let's bring the hands together to start with. So interlace fingers and take one pinky on the outside. So just bear in mind which pinky you place on the outside of your hands and interlace your fingers. You're going to draw your elbows together in line with your shoulders and then roll the wrists. Okay, so you're kind of pushing one hand against the other as you roll the wrists out. You will find that you get a few clicks. You want to take it one way and the other. I'm just going to check the chat again. Hi, Indy. And then open the hands up and take the other pinky on the outside and interlace again. And then once again, roll the hands out. So I'm trying to keep my elbows in line with the shoulders here. So taking it both directions. And then release the grip. I'm just going to take the hands out in front of us and we're going to roll the wrist. So as you roll the hands in the way, you want to think about spreading your fingers as you roll them out and in. And then when they come in, you're going to fist them. Okay, so you're really looking for full stretch of the hands and then bringing them into a ball as you roll the wrists. So stretching out and bringing the hands into a fist and stretching them out and bringing them into a fist and finding as much rotation as you can. And take it the other way, so now the fingers will be coming in towards each other. This hope you can see. Nice. Okay, give them a moment, they'll already probably be saying hello to you. Okay, it's really good to also counter stretch your wrists, so when you start to feel that you are really working them, take the back of the hand to the sides of the body and just let them fold in the other way. So you can do this at any point throughout the class. Okay, to really fire them up, we're now going to be flicking the fingers. Okay, so we're going to have the hands out in front of us, take the hands into a fist with the thumb on the outside, and you're going to flick your fingers quickly. Okay, so we're going to do this 5 times in front, 5 times up, and 5 times to the side, and then we're going to count down to 1. Okay, so we'll do it together. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Let's start here again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, and 1. Okay, so you should feel your wrists quite awake now. So again, give them a little roll out. If you feel like they need a bit of a stretch out, you take the back of the hands to the side of the body. Good. Okay, so we're now going to bring the hands to the mat and look at our hand position. Okay, so we're not going to be putting too much weight into it yet. We're just looking at what hand position we want in our handstand. So the first thing we want to make sure is our hands are spread as wide as we can. Okay, and ideally, you'd have your first finger pointing directly forward. Okay, so it feels quite natural to have your middle finger pointing directly forward. We're going to turn it so the first finger is pointing forward. I don't think you're able to see my hands very well from there, so I'm going to describe it the best I can. Start with your knees quite close to your hands. You're going to slightly dome out your fingers, so they're almost like little spider fingers. So there's a little gap here. And these knuckles on the palm of the hand, you're going to push them firmly down into the mat. So you've got the knuckles of the palm and the fingertips pointing into the mat, nice and firmly. So this next exercise is a knuckle push-up. Knees can stay close. Try to keep your shoulders directly over your wrists. And you're just going to lift the palm of the hands and leave the knuckles on the floor and keep pressing the tips of the fingers into the floor. Okay, so you're going to lift the palm and then place it back down. Lift the palm, place it back down. So we're going to do 10 of these. Let's do it together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, coming back, roll the wrist out again. Giving them a little bit of a rest. Okay, so I'm going to do this once more. If you find it quite comfortable with the knees close to you, you have the option of taking more weight into your arms by taking the knees a bit further back. You can be in a tabletop position, or you can even take the knees even further back than that. Okay, depending on how it feels for you. If you're comfortable with the knees staying close, go for that. That's totally fine. It can take a while to really understand the movement in the body. So let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Lovely. Okay, and again, pull the wrists out and give them a little stretch. Great. Okay, so we're now going to look at what the arm is doing in our handstand. So we now know what our hands should be doing. We're going to look at the eye of the elbow. So if you come back into a tabletop, check that your wrists are still under your shoulders. Okay, this is the position you always want for your handstand. And from now on, every time you place your hands on the floor, think about what I just spoke about. So make sure your fingers are domed out, the knuckles are pressing into the floor, and the tips of the fingers are pressing into the mat. Okay, from here, you're going to try and turn the eye of the elbow forward and back. So the moment the eye of my elbow are facing towards you, the camera, and then I'm going to turn the eye of the elbow back and forward and back and forward and back. For our handstand, ideally we'll have the elbow straight, but if you have a tendency to hyperextend, make sure you have a micro bend in your elbows at all times. Okay? So let's do 10 elbow rolls together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. If you have any questions about these exercises or any feedback, let me know. I'll try to answer any questions that you have. Okay, so we've got the hand position, we've got the elbow. Now we need to look at the shoulders. We want, obviously, our shoulders to be strong and protected, so it's really important that they're in the correct position. So ideally in our handstand, we want a protracted scapula. So we want the scapula wrapping around the side of the body with a nice big space between the shoulder blades and an even slight rounding in the upper back. Okay, so we're going to exercise this by bringing our hands in front of us. So just come to seated position. Arms are going to be extended directly out. So we're looking to depress the shoulder blades. So we want them drawing down away from the ears. And then you're going to inhale, protract your scapula forward. And as you exhale, retract your scapula, bring them together behind you. So it's almost like there's a pen between your shoulder blades. You're trying to squeeze that pen nice and tight. You inhale to protract and exhale, retract. Keep going with this. As you're moving, try and keep your ribs and your core drawn in. So we don't want any flaring of the ribs. It's completely isolated to the shoulder blade, moving forward and back. Keep going. Yeah, ideally, we're going for 10. If it feels like it gets too much, please, of course, take rest. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, I have to get my shoulders a shoe. Releasing any tension in there. So we're going to take the same exercise and now do it with a little bit weight into it. So we're going to come back into this tabletop position we've been working with. Okay, so again, your hands are in that position we've spoken about. eye of the elbow is ideally facing forward. Okay, we're going to look at just protracting, retracting the scapula here in our tabletop. So we're going to protract the scapula, it goes round, the upper back rounds, and retract the scapula. Allow it to draw together, the chest is going to dip down. Inhale, protract. Exhale, retract. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Do one more. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Okay. Step back and allow the shoulders to roll out. Okay, this is another exercise that can be done with a slightly different leg position if you would like to bear some more weight into your arms. Okay, so we'll go for one more round and you can do it again in your tabletop, or you can come into your full plank position, either with the knees on the floor or the knees up. Okay, let's go again for 5. Inhale, protract, and exhale, retract. Inhale, exhale, that's 2. Inhale, exhale, 3. Inhale, exhale, 4. Inhale, exhale, 5. Okay, let's take child pose for a moment. We'll drop the knees to the floor, take the bum back, and extend the arms out. Good. And when you're ready, you can come back up. Okay, so now we have this position. We're going to now bring in a few drills which I use in my handstand conditioning classes. It gives you an opportunity to play with keeping these things in mind while you move your body around. Okay, so you're going to come into a traditional downward facing dog position. So as soon as you come into your down dog, your hand position is probably going to be different, which is fine. Okay, so you want your first finger pointing forward, those knuckles pressing down, doming out the fingers. Eye of the elbow is going to turn to face forward, and you're going to protract the scapula. You already feel a broadening of the upper back. You're going to try and maintain this broadening of the upper back as you take your downward dog for a walk. Okay, so you can find a rhythm with this. If you don't find the rhythm, it's fine. It's quite a lot to think about. But if you can maintain the shoulders, you're going to take your left hand forward and your right foot forward. Right hand forward, left foot forward. Left hand forward, right foot forward. If you've got lots of space, you can keep moving around your room, or just turn around on your mat and continue moving across, thinking about pushing the floor away and keeping those shoulders protracted. Good. And going one more time. Nice. Good. You come to rest for a moment, whichever position is comfortable for you. Again, maybe rolling the shoulders out and the wrists. Maybe taking a counter stretch with the wrists. And just taking a moment to listen in and see how your body's feeling. Okay, so I'm going to show you the next exercise we're going to do. Similar to the one you've just done, but this one we're going to think about keeping the elbows bent and the knees bent. So this is even better for really engaging the protraction of the scapula, so firm wrapping. So you're going to have your elbows bent and draw them in towards each other. So you'll start in your downward facing dog. You're going to bend the elbows, draw them in towards each other so they're hovering above the floor, and then take a nice deep bend into the knees. Your heels can come up off the floor. And you're going to try and walk in this position without letting the scapula retract. So your elbows still have to be drawing in towards each other. You can move forward and back on your mat like this. Just playing around with it And just keep focusing on the shoulders and the arm position. Okay, take a moment if you want to go grab some water or a child's pose. It's quite hard work. Okay, so I'm just going to explain what exactly the shoulders do while you're in your handstand. Okay, so you're welcome to join me or just watch. Okay, I'm going to take my arms up overhead. So you can see there should be that nice straight line from my shoulders up to my wrists. And what my shoulder blades want to be doing is they want to, I'm going to show you from the front and the back, they want to be depressed. So they want to draw down and then protract and then extend. Okay, so this is a really strong, firm position. It takes a while to build the strength to get it, but this is the ideal position that you want. This will avoid you getting into this kind of position. Okay, I understand that shoulder flexibility can be an issue, but we'll look at that as well. So just so you have an idea of what the arms and the shoulders should be doing, ideally in your handstanding, keep that in mind when you're practicing. Okay, so we're going to fire up the core a little bit now, so we can start to look at the lower part, well, the lower part of the upper body. So let's bring ourselves into our tabletop again. So we're going to do spinal rolls, but I want them to be really, really slow. So they're probably not going to sync with the breath. That's okay. Just keep breathing as you know is best. So we're going to start in this rounded position. I want you to tuck that tailbone under, draw the navel in towards the spine. Your scapula is already protracting here, and your chin is going to come in towards your chest. From here, we're looking to release one vertebrae at a time. Okay, so we're going to release the tailbone only. Keep the middle and upper back rounded as you slowly release one vertebrae at a time of the lower back. Okay, and then it's going to work up, slowly up the spine, really taking as long as you need. You might find it a bit that's really difficult to connect to, which is completely normal. Okay, and work your way all the way up until your chest starts to drop through, and then your scapula is going to retract. Just make sure it's still away from the ears, and then you can lift your head. Keep going back in again. We're going to round from the base to the top of the spine. We're going to tuck the tailbone under, round in one vertebrae at a time. And here you'll start to feel your core really engage, firmly drawing the navel to the spine. Drawing the ribs in. Upper back will start to round, your scapula will start to protract, and your chin can drop back in towards your chest. We'll take another one each way, nice and slow. You're releasing from the tailbone to the top. Release the tailbone, working your way slowly up your spine, isolating one vertebrae at a time. Until your chest starts to dip, your shoulders will retract, and your chest can come through. You can lift your head. You're curling in, curl tailbone, and keep curling base to top. All the way, push the floor away nice and strong, and bring the chin in. Okay, let's take 3 more of these. Now we can use the breath. Now we know how the movement is going to go. So we're going to inhale, release the tailbone. Still try to release one vertebrae at a time, but now linking it with your in-breath. If you prefer to still go slow, that's completely fine. Do what works for you. And exhale, curl tailbone, working your way up the spine, base to top. Inhale, release the tailbone, work your way up. And exhale, curl tailbone, curling all the way in. One more like this. Inhale, release base to top. And exhale, curl base to top. Nice. Okay, let's take the bum back onto the heels. Take a child's pose with the knees together or knees mat width apart, toes touching. With your arms here, you're going to reach your fingertips forward and then you're going to spider your right fingertips forward. So you increase that stretch a little through your right side and the same on the left side. So you can spider, walk your left fingertips forward so you increase the stretch through the left side. Okay, let's bring ourselves back into our tabletop. A little bit more of core firing up. So we're going to do our leg and arms extensions. So we're going to reach our right foot back, starting with big toe resting on the floor. Our left arm is going to extend forward. Okay, you can lift this right leg off the floor if you like. Just try and keep your hips in line with each other. Whether the foot's on the floor or lifted, you're going to inhale and reach in opposite directions. As you exhale, you're going to curl into your spine and bring your right knee and your left elbow together. Inhale to extend. And exhale, curl it back in. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And release the hand down. Release the knee back down. We'll go straight onto the other side. Left leg extends back and right arm now extends forward. Inhale here, reach in opposite directions as you exhale, curl in left knee to right elbow. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Release the hand and release the knee. Okay, so now we're going to bring ourselves and to a supine position on our mat. And we're going to start to look at what our ribs are doing. Okay, so you can imagine that when you breathe, your ribs expand. And it's quite natural to flare your ribs out as you breathe in and out. So if you bring your hands to your ribs, even we can do it seated to start. You just observe what happens to your ribs when you breathe. When you breathe in, when you breathe out, and how your body responds to your breath. So obviously when you're in your handstand, you don't want your breath to be moving your body around. It's going to be even harder to balance. You want to be able to maintain a nice, straight, strong shape and not let the breath get in the way, but still be able to breathe. Okay, so we're going to exercise this by coming to lie on our backs. So lying flat down, I'm going to bring the knees up or the feet in towards the bottom. Okay, and the knees are going to be about hip width apart. I'm going to start with our arms by the sides of the body. And I want you to take a moment to observe your lower back. Your lower back should be on the floor. Okay, so that involves tucking the tailbone under slightly and trying to press that lower part of your back into your mat. We don't want any rounding in the lower back. So try and find that connection of lower back to floor. If you find it difficult here, you can draw your knees in towards your chest. It's a little bit easier to find it there. And maintain that connection as you take the feet back down to the floor. The arms are going to be extended down. As you inhale, you're going to take your arms up overhead. Feel your ribs expand, but you want them to be expanding out to the sides. Okay, so notice that the back of the body lifts up off the floor as you inhale. Exhale, we'll bring the hands back down. Okay, so if you feel that as you inhaled, your lower back lifted up off the floor and your ribs flared, you're going to try and work on keeping everything rooted to the floor as you breathe. Okay, so you can even take your, let's do one round with the hands on the ribs just to exercise this. Okay, so bring the hands to the ribs as we did seated. Okay, inhale and try and let the breath fill out to the sides. As you exhale, it'll draw back in. Inhale, it draws out to the side, the back of the body and lower back is still connected to the floor. And exhale. Okay, now bringing the arms again. Inhale. See how far back you can take your arms, because your shoulder flexibility might come in here, and also the further back your arms go, the harder it is to keep your lower back and ribs on the floor. Okay, exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Okay, relax the arms for a moment. And relax the lower back. You want to wiggle out your hips. You might want to bring your knees in towards your chest and have a little roll around. Okay. Next thing we're going to look at is our core position. So we're looking at, as I just spoke about, lower back connecting to the floor. So in our handstand shape, since we're just working from the hips up, I'll just show you from here. Okay, we're going to have the hands up. We've got that depression, protraction, and extension in the shoulders. Ribs are drawn in, and your belly should be kind of scooped in. So you want your lower back to be extended and your tailbone to be tucked under. Okay, and you'll also be squeezing your bum, which we'll look at next week a little bit more. Okay, so in order to train this position, so it can feel a little bit more natural, we're going to do exercises lying down. Okay, so it's a dish shape, but to get there, we're going to take it nice and slow. So we're going to bring these knees back up towards the chest and find that connection again of the lower back to the floor. Okay. You're going to take your legs directly up towards the sky, keeping the connection, lower back to floor. You can even place one hand under just to check that you don't lose it. And then start to lower your legs down. Really strong legs point through the toes. Lower them down. And you'll notice it'll start to tremble when it starts to get a little bit harder. So you don't want to be taking it to maximum discomfort, because we won't be able to hold it for a little bit. Okay, so when you find it's starting to lift, just bring the legs a little bit higher. Okay, and then think about going through down the navel, through the belly button, into the floor, lower back firmly connected. Okay, and then you're going to bring your arms by the side of the body and bring the chin in towards the chest. We're going to hold this position. Okay, so this is training our lower back for the correct position. You have an option here as well if you want to make it a little bit more challenging to take your arms overhead and think about your handstand position in the shoulders, extend through the palms of the hands. Okay, and then relax the head down. And release, bring the knees in towards the chest. Take the knees a bit wide and just take a roll from side to side. You can roll out the lower back and the glutes. Okay, we're going to do that once more. So again, connection of lower back to floor. Knees are in towards the chest. Extend the legs up towards the sky, point through the toes, and slowly lower the legs down. Finding your position. The arms extended, chin to chest, drilling navel down, through and into your mat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And release. The head rests, bring the knees back in towards the chest, and take a little roll. Here we're doing for plank. Okay, so to continue working on our core, when you're ready, return to a upright position. We're going to do a short yoga sequence, and I want you to keep in mind the things that we've spoken about. Okay, so we're going to do some salutations and then a short sequence. So keeping in mind your hand position is going to change your practice on this occasion, just for this class. Okay, you're going to think about the hand position being slightly different. So you want your first finger pointing forward. Okay? Thinking about the eye of the elbow pointing forward, that depression, protraction, and extension through the shoulders, ribs drawn firmly in, okay? And thinking about lengthening out the lower back. Okay? So I know it's quite a lot to think about, but we'll work through it and just keep them in mind and kind of like sprinkle them throughout the sequence that we're doing. Okay, so come to stand at the top of the mat when you're ready, and we'll take 2 sun salutations. Okay, so starting in your Tadasana position. Take an inhale, extend the arms up overhead. As you exhale, come into your forward fold. Inhale, lifting the chest, and exhale, place both hands on the floor. The opportunity to think about your handstand hand position. Take the feet back to a plank. Okay. Here, you're going to protract your scapula, so push the floor away round into your upper back. Exhale, lower all the way to the floor, or to chaturanga, if that's part of your practice. And then take a nice gentle option all the way down. Inhale, either baby cobra, or if you feel like you'd like to go into upward facing dog, feel free to do so. And exhale, downward facing dog. Be holding this for 5 breaths. Firmly protracting the scapula, making as much space the upper back as you can. Thinking about connection of the hand to your mat. 2, 3, draw your ribs in. 4, and 5. Inhale, bring the feet to the front of the mat and lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, return to standing. And exhale. And one more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, hands press to the floor. Take the feet back. Protract your scapula, round into your upper back. Exhale to lower. Inhale to your back bend, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, feet come forward and lift the chest. Exhale, folding in. Inhale to rise to the top. Arms extend and release back into Tadasana. Okay, so we're going to start the same way. So starting from a sun salutation, we'll inhale again, take those arms back up overhead. And exhale, bring the hands forward. Okay, now we're going to look at how you can incorporate a little bit of that work from your shoulders to your hands in your sun salutations. So we're going to take the feet hip distance apart and have the hands shoulder width apart, ready for our handstand. You're going to keep the shoulders directly over the wrists, protract the scapula round into the upper back. You're going to bring your head through, so it's almost like your upper arms are trying to touch your ears. And then you're going to bring the weight forward into your hands as much as you can. As you bring the weight into your hands, if you do crow, you'll know this position with your hands quite well. Okay, but you want to be pressing those knuckles down into the floor and using your fingers to keep the weight on your palms. Okay. So I'm going to take the weight more into the hands, push the floor away, come up onto your tiptoes if you can, or as much weight off the feet as you're comfortable. And then we're going to exhale, take the weight back into the feet and let the hands float up off the floor. Place the hands back on the floor. Inhale, take the weight into the hands. Take the hips higher, draw the navel in towards the spine, and take some weight off the feet. Exhale, take it back. Inhale, going forward, weight into the hands. Exhale. One more, inhale. High hips, exhale. Okay, weight comes back. Nice. Okay, so for the next bit, you can do this for continuing your sun salutation. So I'll just demonstrate. You can bring the weight into your hands, and then from there, take your jump back if that's part of your practice. Otherwise, take your hips high, much weight into your hands as you can, and then you can just step your feet back to that full front option. Okay, so when you're ready, we've exhaled, and then we're going to take our feet back to our plank or to our chaturanga. As we come down to the floor, we inhale and lift chest back through. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Okay, once we reach our down dog, we're going to bring the toes together and inhale, bring that right leg up behind you. You're making a straight line with the back of the body. So looking again at protraction of the scapula, really drawing the navel firmly in and drawing the ribs in. We're going to inhale, bring that right knee forward, let the shoulders stack over the wrist, round into the upper back and bring the knee as close to your chin as you can. Okay, exhale, take the leg back. Inhale, bring it forward again. Push the floor away, shoulders over the wrists. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, release the foot down. And we'll do the same on the other side. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale there. Inhale, bring the left knee forward as you roll through your spine. Protract your scapula, bring your shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, take the foot back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Nice. Okay, release the foot back down. Okay, let's take the knees to the floor and take a child's pose. I know I need it. Okay. Just walk your hands in towards you so you can come and sit on your heels, and I'm going to demonstrate our next little part of the sequence. If you have a block or a book at home, it's about the same distance, so you want it to be about shoulder, just slightly narrower than shoulder distance apart. And you could use this, which would be great. If you are using one, you've got one handy, you want to take the hands to the outside of the block and make kind of L shape on either side of the block. If you don't have a block, you can just bring your hands together and interlace your fingers for this one, okay? Our goal is to be keeping our elbows directly under our shoulders. So you'll see what I mean in a second, okay? So I've got my hands here. I want my shoulders to be directly over my elbows. And already here, before I've gone anywhere, I'm thinking about that engagement of the shoulders. Okay, so I have my shoulders depressed and then protracted. Okay, so you can see I've rounded into my upper back. Okay, and this might be enough, to be honest. Okay, this might already feel super intense. If it does, just keep exercising that. You can also do your little press ups here. So protracting and retracting the scapula. Otherwise, maintain that protracted scapula. And we're going to come into dolphin. So we're going to lift the hips up. Okay, keep the shoulders protracted. Okay, nice, solid dolphin shape. Okay, we're going to breathe here for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, you can either take rest or you're going to walk your feet back so you come into a forearm plank. Okay, so your hips are parallel to the floor. Maintain your protracted scapula if you can. We'll hold here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, walk the feet back in if you're still with me, or otherwise join us. Returning to your dolphin. Check in with your shoulders are still protracted for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, everyone knees to the floor and take child's pose. And come back up to seated when you're ready. So we're going to look at a few ways in which you can use this at home to practice these elements we've been speaking about. I'm going to demonstrate with a chair and a wall. Okay, if you're not yet confident to put all your weight into your hands, I would suggest keep working on your forearm plank and focusing on that nice healthy shoulder position, or a normal plank position. Okay, there are variations of plank you can play with as well, but just to show you those. Okay, so maybe that you want to, if you're not confident taking all the weight into your hands for using the wall or the chair, you've got your plank position, traditional plank position. You can make this stronger and better for handstand training by focusing more on protracting your scapula and rounding into your upper back. You can even take it further by bringing your head through and bringing your chin in towards your chest while trying to keep your bum down. It makes it a lot more intense. Okay, so if you don't want to move on to the chair and the wall, you can work with your plank position and playing around with those variations. So if you have a chair handy, or you might want to try this, or pause it and go and get a chair. Put my chair here. So at the moment, I'm not thinking about the legs. I just want to be thinking about the hands to the hips. So I'm going to take my hands, make sure that they're, from the moment I place them down, I've got all these elements that we're talking about in mind. Okay, so palms are down, first fingers pointing forward. Fingers are spidering out, my knuckles are pressing firmly into the floor. Okay, my shoulders are over my wrists and the elbow is facing forward. I'm going to bring one foot onto the chair and then the other. Okay. You can do this with bent knees. So you come into a very tucked position, depending on your body. But I'm looking to make a straight shape from my wrists to my hips. Okay. You can do it again with the knees bent. You can do it with straight legs. You can walk your hands even further in, which is good for testing your shoulder strength. Get a chair that doesn't move. And Aimee is going to hold this for 5 breaths. If you are comfortable with bearing that much weight on your arms and your hands, you can spend longer there, of course. But it's just one of the options to play with. So that's our chair. If we want to use the wall, we're going to be looking at a downward facing dog shape at the wall. You can do this with straight legs or bent knees, as you would do in your normal downward facing dog, depending on your hamstrings. So for the right positioning of the hands, you're going to stand in front of your wall. And you want to be at a position where your palms can touch the wall and you're standing upright. So that's the distance away from the wall you want to be. Okay, so I'm going to turn around and just place my hands just slightly ahead of my feet. So I turned on the same spot, hands come down just slightly ahead of the feet. And then I'm going to take one foot onto the wall. Okay, push the left leg that's against the wall onto the wall and lift the right leg up. So here I can have my knees bent, or you can have your knees bent, or my hands are actually a little bit too close to the wall here, so I'm going to walk them forward. Okay, or you can come into that downward dog position. Okay, so my hips are now over my shoulders and my legs are more parallel to the floor. Okay, and again, as soon as you're there, think about the elements we've spoken about. And see if you can hold that for 5 breaths. If you can't, of course, no worries, listen to your body. Okay, it may be that you need to spend a lot longer building the strength on the floor first, which is completely normal. So you can just come back to your plank position. If you start to feel your form is deteriorating, it's better that you take steps back. Okay. So you can pause that and play with it a bit more, okay, or play with it in your spare time. But I'm now going to start to bring in some movement to soften and relax the shoulders now. You've done a lot of work and you're going to need to release that now. Okay. So if you have a block or books or even a chair, I'll show you what the chair is. Most people have a chair at home. So you're going to make sure that your hips are directly over your knees. Bring your elbows to the chair. You might need to shuffle back a little bit. Yeah, and you're going to soften those shoulders and allow the head to start to soften through. The elbows right on the edge of the chair. The knees back a little bit. Let the head dip through. Just let everything soften. Okay, another nice variation here is if you want to move the arms a little bit, just kind of changes the stretch. So you might want to reach the hands forward and then bring them all the way overhead. See if you can bring them towards your upper back. You're spending a nice long while here, breathing deeply, enjoying the stretch. Okay. And when you're ready, you can come out. Next one we're going to do is we're going to come and lie flat on the floor, belly on the floor. Arms, you're going to take them out at shoulder height. So you're making a T shape with your body. We're going to turn to place our right cheek on the mat. And then bring your left hand in line with your left shoulder. You're going to use this left hand to roll you onto your right side. So push the floor away with the left hand, roll onto your right side. So you're rolling onto your right shoulder. Go nice and slow. Try and keep that right shoulder drawing down. And then this left leg, you're going to open the knee to the sky, or you can take the foot behind you and place it on the floor. Okay, so it just takes a little bit more weight onto your right side and stretches out the front of that shoulder and chest a little bit more. And when you're ready, bring yourself back to the center, rolling back onto the belly. Left arm extends back out. Turn your left cheek to the floor and then draw that right hand just next to your right shoulder. Okay, push the floor away with the right hand and rolling to your left side. Your right leg can open up. Maybe you place your right foot behind you. And release, come back to the center. Okay, you're going to stretch out the core as well. We've worked our core a fair amount too. So bringing the hands under the shoulders, drawing the elbows in, push the floor away and allow yourself to come up into your upward facing dog. Remember to keep lifting the collarbones high, lifting the chest to the sky. Maybe engaging a little bit more by pressing the front of the feet into the mat and allowing the thighs and the legs to lift up. And release back down to the floor. You're going to push back and come back into that kneeling position or cross-legged if it's more comfortable. We're going to take our right arm up towards the sky. Again, think about protracting the scapula, so you don't want it to be out and then reaching up because it's not a good, healthy position. Okay, so keep it protracted and then reach up. Now you're going to bend that elbow and take your hand behind you. And your other hand can either press gently down on the elbow or you're going to wrap it around and either take your shirt or you might find your fingertips. Wherever you are, keep drawing the ribs in, don't allow them to flare. And see if you can take your arm, your top arm, away from the back of the head. And the chest is lifted nice and high, so the chest stays open. And releasing left hand and right arm. And then we'll bring that left arm up towards the sky. Protracting, wrapping the shoulder blade around, and then bending the elbow and taking the hand behind you. Now your other hand comes to the elbow and presses it down. Or you're wrapping the arm around and taking the shirt or the fingertips. Or a strap if you've got one. Whatever works best for you. Keeping the ribs and core drawn in, but chest lifted. And see if you can take the back of the top arm away from the back of the head. Nice, and release. We're going to stretch out the wrist a little bit as well. We're going to bring the hands in front of our knees, but we're going to turn the palms so the fingertips are pointing in towards us. So go really gentle here because it can be quite intense. So gently going in, fingertips pointing in towards the knees, and then placing the knuckles on the floor and then the palms on the floor. Okay, this may be enough. If you want to take it a little bit more of a stretch, you're going to reach your bum back towards your heels so your shoulder is drawing back away from the wrists. It just increases the stretch in the front of the wrist there. If you don't feel anything there, try taking a micro bend in the elbows. And bring the hips up before releasing the hand nice and slowly. Pat the hand forward. Press into the floor. And then we're going to bring the hands back up. You're going to take your opposite hand to your wrist. And you're going to take your thumb to the inside of your wrist and your first finger on the outside of your wrist. Allow your hand to completely relax and soften and just give it a roll. So you're just pressing on the inside and outside of the wrist, giving it a bit of a massage. You might want to shake it out gently, allowing the hand and the wrist to soften. Yeah, and then taking the first finger to the inside of the wrist and the thumb to the outside. Don't press here, just give it a little gentle shake and maybe a little rub. Just giving your wrist some love after all this hard work. And the same on the other side, so we're doing the outside of the wrist first with the thumb and first finger. And then taking the first finger to the inside of the wrist and the thumb to the outside. Give a little shiggle and a bit of a rub. Okay, last one, relaxing the neck. We're just encouraging the back of the neck to soften. You sit in your seated position and take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers and take them to the base of your skull. Okay, so taking them to the base of the skull. You're going to slightly draw them up so you're stretching out the back of the neck. Bring the chin in towards the chest. Allow your navel to draw in towards your spine. You're going to round in. You draw your elbows in towards each other. Gently stretching out the back of the body. And when you're ready, you're going to uncurl from the base to the top of the spine, okay? So tuck the tailbone under and roll slowly up. Until your head comes to stack, and you can soften your shoulders down. We're going to bring ourselves into a relaxation now, a well-deserved relaxation. So you can come to lie down on your mat in a supine position. Adjusting yourself to make yourself as comfortable as you can be. If your legs are extended down the mat and you're comfortable like this, let the feet be mat width apart and allow the thighs, the shins and the feet to roll out to the sides. Give your hips a little shiggle and allow them to really root down the hips and the lower back, softening into your mat. We'll take a moment to draw the shoulders down and towards each other, and then focus on rooting those down into the floor as well. Let your face soften. Allow the breath to return to its natural flow. You're welcome to pause it and stay in your extended Shavasana. Otherwise, you're going to start to bring some movement into your body. So we bring the fingers and the toes, softly rolling the back of the head from side to side to waken up the spine. You like to stretch out, you have as much space as you can, and then bringing yourself into a ball. Roll to your right side, and then bring yourself up to seated. Thank you for joining me for the first part of the 3 handstand classes. If you have any feedback, I would love to hear it, so please put it in the comments. And if you've got any questions as well, I'd be really happy to answer them. And I hope to see you again next week. Thank you for joining.